Hey guys, so yesterday we brought you a little behind the scenes look of Outdoor Channel's new season of Gun Stories with Joe Montana. And Danny's taking his newfound stardom a little bit to his head. He's actually wearing my sunglasses right now because that is all that was available. But he looks pretty good, right? But I'm going to come a little bit, I got a little excited about being behind the camera, which is why I'm talking to you as a ghost voice. But we posted some stuff. I guess, well, Danny posted some stuff. I didn't. I was too busy working on other things. But we posted some things to answer your questions today. We're going to answer questions. Oh, that's trippy. Danny's got the live going.
We're going real meta right now.
We're going super meta, and apparently live also operates on a delay. I learned something today.
It does.
Well, that's good to know. This is
gonna be real distracting.
I'm not gonna lie. This is real cool. You should also maybe not let the computer restart because
we're good. We got 28 minutes.
Oh, we got 28 minutes. Okay. Alrighty. So we wanted to answer your questions, and we thank you guys for actually participating.
Yeah.
So that we can, and thank you for not asking like real weird ones, but like. We do kind of like those too, so
I'm a little disappointed nobody asked for life advice because I threw that out there and we didn't.
That's because they've watched the live and they know that they shouldn't ever have life advice from us. But Danny's currently queuing up, so why don't you, Danny, give us the first question?
All right, so one of our first questions from David Loeffler. I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
I don't think you are.
Probably not.
Sorry,
Dave. Have any of your staff been able to shoot any of these or replicas? What are the constraints of the revolving carbine, gas cutting on the hand arm from the barrel, cylinder gap, etc.?
That's multiple questions.
It is multiple questions.
First question, have we ever shot any of the guns in this collection? No. It's the short answer, no. Sadly. We are an American Alliance of Museums accredited institution, and by doing that, we cannot fire things that are in the permanent collection. And the logic and reasoning behind that is that when something comes in as an artifact in a museum, it's not necessarily meant to be, quote unquote, functional, because what keeps a lot of things functional also hurts them in the long run. The best thing I can always give as an example is leather. Leather, you dress your leather, but that whatever you use to dress your leather, over time that crystallizes and becomes a fatty white bloom. That's the technical term. And it damages the artifact. So when we come in, we don't do anything to our firearms to make them quote unquote inoperable like some museums do. We keep everything as it is, but we're trying to preserve things for, forever.
Forever and ever and ever. So
we don't fire the guns. It used to be different in museum policy, and like 30 years ago, they did shoot some of the guns periodically once a year just to see, how they fired. But we do not do that anymore, and it's sad. But one thing that we do have the option to do, which I would love to see happen, is that anything that comes into the museum that is what we call a non-permanent collection item, so something that, we have 50 of them already, but we still want to have it in the collection, we can designate it non-permanent. Non-permanent then means that we can use them for shooting, so that if we wanted to have a percussion gun that was in good shape, that we had a bunch of already, that we wanted to use so that we could do videos of how the guns fire, that kind of thing, you can do that. But we haven't, historically, since I became curator, they had never done anything like that. So we've talked about it, but that's about it. Me personally, I fired most action types, most of the big ones, most of the big ignition systems, through replicas. Fired a lot of machine guns, but I still like me a flintlock.
I fired a few different action types. I got to catch up on some older ones. I haven't shot a flintlock yet. That's on the to-do list. So.
Oh man, maybe seriously? Sorry, I wasn't even listening. That was a delayed like.
All right.
Well, you can at the Cody Firearms Experience, the shooting range down the street.
Hashtag free advertising.
Yeah. All right, what was the next part of his question?
What are constraints of the revolving carbine, gas cutting on the hand, arm from the barrel, cylinder gap, etc.? And we actually got that question in a couple different forms. And Matthew Moss asked it as, is there any documentary evidence of the legend of revolving carbines rifles chain firing and injuring users? I think I saw it one place else, maybe not. But, so what are some problems with revolving carbines?
Sorry. Well, I guess since that question was asked, or a couple of places, a couple of different areas, and then someone wanted to know what was in the picture that Danny sent, which are these things. These things were in the picture.
Yeah. I picked a random cabinet from our storage to kind of give people something to look at, so we weren't just advertising our Facebook Live, and we got a lot of questions about it. So let's talk about some of them.
Yeah, so let's talk about some of them because the context does definitely make. Blah. I turned off Friday. Happy Good Friday.
Oh yeah, it's Good Friday.
Yeah, I guess I had a happy.
Well.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter, everybody. Oh boy.
That's like when you said we're celebrating the 100th anniversary.
I might have said we're celebrating World War I one time, and maybe
it's
very recently.
Yeah, it's not technically what you should be doing. Keep that up so we can see
right.
in like apparently 30 seconds if I'm holding this correctly. The first gun that we've got on the top, I guess I'll just kind of tilt it upwards because I think if I move it too far, you guys won't see it. This is a later version of a Colt revolving carbine, a military carbine. It's the model 1855, also known as the root model. I turn it over so you can see the side hammer there, and they often call it the root model because of the hammer design that was designed by Colt's factory superintendent, Elisha Root. And one thing that I don't think a lot of people realize with Colts is that his first patent in February of 1836 was a revolving rifle. It was not the handgun revolver that we think of and associate with Colt. He really liked his revolving long guns. But one of the big issues of it was obviously you didn't want all that by your face.
Not ideal.
That's the technical.
Not ideal.
You didn't want all that by your face. And also, too, if you think about it, you do have to put your hand up here, and it's got the open of the chambers. My English is not so good today. The opening of the chambers right here, and so there were a lot of issues with where your arm was placed, where your cheek was placed based on where it fired. I don't know of any specific stories because I don't really study these too in depth, but I can imagine there are. And this one was, we don't know whether or not the carbine ones were actually issued and used. We know there were thousands made, but we do also up in the gallery have the series, the sporting variation of the root, the military variation, and then the shotgun variation, because there was a shotgun as well. That actually sounds like that would suck, like a lot.
Which one?
The shotgun.
The shotgun.
I mean, they all were rough because of the configuration of having the cylinder so close. So close. But one of the other things that came up, and I think there was a mention of chain firing, misfiring, the one that you had to worry about a little bit more was the turret style, the horizontally seated cylinder. And if you look all the way down to the bottom, I have to want to stand in front of the barrels. Even though nothing's loaded, it's just, it's bad form. Well, this is, okay, thanks for unplugging. Colt came out with the original patent in February 1836, and everyone knows the story of then he had the legal right to produce the revolving mechanism, and so a lot of people had to kind of get around his patent. And one of the things that popped up were these turret horizontally seated cylinders, and the first one is 1837, and that's a Cochrane. We don't have the Cochrane, but we've got a later model which is awesome. This is a Genhardt, and it was
Can't quite see you.
Okay, well, that's too bad, but I think they'll survive. Can you see the gun?
Yes, you can see the gun.
Okay, whatever, then that's fine. We don't need to see me. Nobody needs that. So the original Cochrane, 1837, so a year after Colt's patent, this horizontally seated cylinder had open chambers all around. And so if you did have some kind of chain firing issue, you pretty much killed everybody around you, so.
Not ideal.
No, they can't see my sad face.
They can't see it. It's a very sad face. It's very convincing.
But a later patent, which was actually made by a guy from Belgium, but it was a U.S. patent. His name was Genhardt and Heinrich, I think.
You're
right.
you're the
right.
one that knows that. I'm not. That's not me.
I'm right.
That ain't me.
And what you see is that they developed this kind of a shield for the open chambers, which was a pretty good plan on a model that's really still just not very good. But the other thing that I think is, someone is calling me.
Should we let it ring through?
We'll just let it ring through. The other thing that I always find really funny about the Genhardts are that there's almost like a sundial on the top. So if you wanted to tell the time, I guess. I just realized I'm not on camera, so I'm like looking at Danny and he's just kind of staring at me. But we do have the patent model of this gun, and we have a early patent model of Colt's gun. We don't have a root model, which I think was patented in '55, but we do have the earliest of the Colt patents in February. We have those on loan. They were the U.S. Patent Office collection from the Smithsonian.
Awesome.
I just talked for a really long time.
You did. We said we were going to try and keep brief about the guns, but hey, that works too. So the middle two guns that we have here, and apologies for the noise in the background, we are in the offices, so.
And I'm super popular.
And lots of people are calling
Actually, after Danny left the office yesterday, your phone rang, and your phone was just going like bloop, 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 for all the emails and the calls. It was ridiculous.
I should probably answer some of those at some point.
Yeah, at some point. All right, what's another question?
Oh, another question.
And do we have any up here? You're supposed to be watching all of the technology, Danny.
I'm trying to. There's so many things going on. We do. Just got here. Don't know if you answered this, but what do you do with doubles of guns in the museum? So multiples of a certain type of gun.
We have a lot of multiples in the museum. If there's something different about it, a subtle change and variant between a model, we try to display as many of those variations as we can. But if we have something that's a direct copy, if we have a place for it, we'll display it. If you've been here in our basement, we've got rolling racks where you pull them out and you can just see a mass quantity of guns on both sides. They're pull-out drawers, and so a lot of times our doubles, if we can get them out on display and they're not in the vault, we put them in like kind of a stacked row so that if you come in and that particular gun is your thing, you can see everything you want about it. What's another question?
So that kind of leads into Ian Jordan's question: how does the museum acquire new pieces? So where do we get those extra copies of, say, one model from? Do we rely on donations? Does it take more, or do we take more of a proactive approach and keep an eye on upcoming auctions for interesting items?
And I believe if I read, there's another question about collections. So I think we can answer both of those.
Yes, let's double check here. Oh yes, Brian Stacy asked, the museum seems to be a collection of collections. What are all the collections that make up the museum? What are some of the most recent acquisitions?
I think we can answer that, both of those. How do we acquire things, Danny?
We typically acquire things through donation, and the foundation of our collection was a donation of what was the Winchester reference collection, the Winchester factory collection that they had built up, and as early as 1871, because we have a letter from Oliver Winchester requesting a gun for his collection, and that firearm, that Jennings rifle that he asked for, is now in the museum, and you can come see it. It's up on display on the first floor. Ta-da! And and over time, as Winchester introduced new models and tried to create new designs and saw what competitors were coming out with, they collected a pretty large reference library of firearms, and that is what became originally the Winchester Arms Museum and then the Cody Firearms Museum. But since then we've gotten more other collections, so we aren't just the Winchester collection. We've acquired private collections, some semi-public collections. One of the more recent ones was the Coors collection, the Coors Company collection of Schutzen rifles, lots of Stevens and early single-shot rifles used in Schutzen competitions. So that's one of our more recent ones. But
I'm sorry, I'm watching the countdown on the computer to when it's going to restart. It's making me real nervous. The other thing, so most of our collection, probably about like 80% of our collection is based on donations. We have several loan collections, and then periodically we will buy things, but we really don't have the money to buy a lot of things, so it's got to be a really specific, important thing for us or something we don't have. The museum doesn't necessarily what I would call actively collect anymore because we do have such a large collection, 7,000 guns. We are looking for specific things periodically, like a punishment device. So I just made my nose started running. Allergies.
Anybody's got one.
Yeah, we're looking. But some of the other collections we have, you mentioned Coors. We have the Remington collection. So we have about 100 guns from the Remington company on loan to us. I think NRA has about another 100. I think there's a balance of those. We have the Marlin collection. We have a Parker collection. The Woodruff collection. My position is endowed by Robert W. Woodruff Foundation, which is best known for Coca-Cola in Georgia. And I'm trying to think. We have so many big collections. We have a big Smith & Wesson collection, but I can't remember the name of the collector. It's escaping me at this point in time. So we get a combination of these big collections that belong to individuals, like Robert W. Woodruff, or we get collections, it's in red now,
We're good. We're totally good. Everything is totally fine.
I'm worried it's going to blow up. And then we get collections from companies a lot of times. Like we've got right now the loan collection from Glock. So it really does run the gamut of all the different people that can give us. And you too could be a donor to the Cody Firearms Museum. We typically get emails about every day, emails and calls about every day from people who want to donate things. Unfortunately, at this point in time, we say no more than we say yes, just because I don't know. When I became curator, I felt like I didn't want to accept something if we didn't have to, because if it's just going to go in the vault and we knew that, it makes me sad.
Yeah, we don't want stuff just to sit in a cabinet somewhere in a dark corner and not get on display or be used for education or something like that.
So if we get something, or we get a recommendation for a donation, someone wants to give us something that we can't do, I always try to ask them about where they're from and see if there's any other museums that might have a collecting mission that would be similar to whatever gun it is that they want to give, like that time period, and hope that a smaller collection might be able to display it and use it. What else?
All right. Bob Scott asked us an easy one. Is there an online photo inventory of the museum collection, and how can we access it? There is. You can go to our webpage, and I'll put a link after we're done here, in reply to your comment to that. But we have an online collections page for the Cody Firearms Museum, and you can search the other museums here at the center too. It is not comprehensive. We don't have everything on there yet, but we're working towards that. And
it's not great.
Oh, okay. All right, that's what we're going with.
It's really a step in the right direction, but one of the things that's a problem that Danny has been working on with our registration department is that we have no standard lexicon for things. So you couldn't just go to the online collection and look up Winchester Repeating Arms Company, because over the years people have typed that in differently, so into our system differently when we're cataloging. So there are ones that are like WRA Co, Winchester Repeating Arms Company, Winchester Repeating Arms Co, Winchester Repeating Arms Co period. So one of the things we're trying to clean up right now, so it's a lot more user friendly, and that's on the museum and registration to fix that, because the software online is great. It's just nobody kind of went through over the years and said, no, we need to say this specific thing for this time period for this company. So we're working on that right now. So hopefully when we open the new museum in the summer of 2019, that's the plan, we'll also have the online collection, kind of fixed up, cleaned up, so that you can search things a lot easier.
Yeah, so we're working on it. Next question. Just lost that. Both you guys and Ian did a bit about the Winchester 50 anti-tank rifle, and Ian said Winchester also designed a small tank/combat car to go with it. I wonder if there's any more information, drawings, or pictures. Was it even built? I don't know. We're going to have to do a little digging on that one. Ian, if you see this, jump in. Help us out.
We'll have to do some digging and see what we can find.
We'll see what we can find on that, and if we come across anything, we'll reply to your comment there and try and get it answered. This is a question we actually get quite a bit. What is Ashley's favorite firearm out of the entire museum, and why? And the same question for Danny. And what is the one firearm in the wide whole world that you would want to add to the museum's inventory?
Well, I didn't read the last part of that question last night. My favorite firearm, I don't know. I have a lot of favorites. Because that's not oxymoronic at all. I have so many favorites.
So many.
Because I always talk about the Lincoln Hammer gun, but I was talking about a gun the other day, and it's it should be my favorites. It should be in my brain, but it's escaping me. So why don't you go? Because this one I was talking about, I was real stoked about it, and now I can't remember. I think we did it for any of the interviews.
My favorite firearm in the collection it's hard to say. It kind of changes based on what you're researching, because you get really into a topic, and then it's like, oh, this is my favorite gun of all time, and then 2 weeks down the road you're researching on something else and you totally forget about the last one. But right now, with all the World War I stuff that I've been researching and reading about, it's got to be the Burton. I mean, it's too cool. So I'm going with Burton. The Burton machine rifle.
It's too cool.
It's too cool for school. So. That's my answer.
Where's your sunglasses?
For now.
Where were your sunglasses, Danny?
You mean your sunglasses?
You know what? Yeah, my sunglasses.
Too cool. Hashtag too cool. Burton machine rifle. All right.
I'm sorry, I just did like a horrible duck face thing that I'm really embarrassed about now. So, you know, and I guess my favorite one right now would have to be, I'm ADD, I don't know. But I keep like looking at myself and I'm just like kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like I need to like sit like a human. I think my favorite one right now would probably have to be the Jennings that Danny mentioned early, because I have been searching for a gun that like belonged to Oliver Winchester for a really long time, like a gun that he owned, used possibly, and we have the Winchester collection, so you'd think that would not be like difficult, but this is the only one that I've been able to find that linked to him specifically, that he hand wrote a letter to R.S. Lawrence asking for the gun for his collection, and that was pretty profound, I guess, for me to find that, because I had been looking and it was in front of my face the whole time. But no, it's a really neat gun, early pre Winchester, and I also like the Jennings because it just pulls in so many different names that get associated with the Winchester, between Benjamin Tyler Henry and Horace Smith and Oliver Winchester. It's just kind of a neat little piece of early history. It's pretty.
Yeah, that's a good one.
German silver, I think. Yeah.
So I think that's all the questions we had from our Q&A.
Oh no, we didn't finish. There was one more.
Oh,
what do we want?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that
So
one.
what do we want it? When do we want it?
These are picket signs. What do we want?
I honestly, I don't think that there's just one thing that I like must have. A punt gun would be kind of cool.
We kind of have one, don't we?
Oh really?
Oh, never mind. People always assume we have one.
The U.S. Institute of Military Technology has one. So that's not us.
That's not us.
I'm such a story person that I just want something that like ties to an individual, whether it's a famous person or it's someone who just has a really unique story. And I know that that's kind of lame and a cop out of an answer, but like, I mean, Elvis Presley's guns are going to auction. That'd be pretty cool. But I just really would love to see something come across the table that was owned and used, and we could trace its history, you know, maybe even from the beginning. So I'm not too picky as to what that means. But anytime you see a significant historical figure, I want it.
I'll cover our immediate goal and say Pedersen device again. Not a gun. Ashley's losing it over here.
So we got a cool gun with a story. That'd be awesome.
A cool gun with a story. That'd be awesome. Hashtag super official.
Smart people. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't think we're ever doing this again. No,
this is going awesome.
You didn't even talk about two of the guns. We've got 4 more guns to talk about. Danny, why don't you talk about the 2 in the middle?
All right, so.
While I regain my composure.
This gun here in the middle, and I'll try and hold this up from back here. This is another of our revolving rifles that you probably saw in that cabinet yesterday. It is a German-built gun, we believe. It doesn't have any real markings to go off of. We believe it's a middle of the 1800s, 1850s, 1860s. It is a percussion gun, and you'll notice there's no exposed hammer on this gun. You can't see it obviously from where you're at, but there is an area where the hammer can strike through, kind of in the center of this brass piece. So it's a hidden kind of internal hammer design.
We have 5 minutes.
We're fine. It's totally fine.
Sorry. This whole countdown on Danny's computer is freaking me out.
So that's this gun, a German revolving carbine with an internal hammer. For revolving rifle, I guess. I'll stand up for the next one.
And so you won't see Danny.
So you won't see me, but hopefully you can still see the gun.
I'll keep an eye.
All right.
Before the computer dies.
Can you see it?
I don't know. It's on a delay, dude. You're just now getting up, so start talking.
All right, so this is a LeMat carbine, a really neat piece. You might be familiar with the very well-known LeMat revolver, which was a revolver that had the rifled chambers centered around a shotgun barrel or a smoothbore barrel. This is actually a revolving carbine, and this barrel, both barrels are actually rifled. Two different rifled options. There's a slight difference in caliber size, but the center barrel, unlike the revolver, is rifled on this gun. And they didn't make very many of these. This is serial number 107. Really cool piece of revolving carbine history. It's a really cool LeMat carbine.
All right, now I'm going to get up, so now it's going to be a table full of guns. because we have a really cool. It's kind of a safety gun, you know. It's for all the people that want, you know, real soft technology. Throughout history, we've had, you know, wood stocks, and in the post-World War II period, we transitioned to synthetics, and now we have a really high-quality prototype, one-of-a-kind styrofoam. I didn't expect the barrel to end like that.
I can't do it anymore.
Styrofoam gun. It's based off of the Winchester model 1887 lever action shotgun. And, you know, it's just a really interesting piece to have in the museum. I think it tells a great story of where firearms manufacturing could go into the future.
And how we transport our guns when we cut out the foam.
That too. And then the final gun is a personal favorite of mine. Why don't you just leave it unplugged, dude?
Right.
I don't like we have that much time. It's a personal favorite of mine. It's a Glock 19. And if you know, we have the Glock exhibit, which is a really neat and revolutionary exhibit. And so we've got this pretty impressive Glock 19. It's very light, and it also kind of like bends if you get really mad. And I think that's really good for firearms because sometimes you're stressed and you just need a stress relief ball, and apparently Glock 19s fit the bill.
They do. Hashtag a real thing.
No, it's rubber. That's all I got. It's a rubber gun. We have in the Glock exhibit a prop, kind of a Hollywood Glock wall, and Independent Studio Services Prop House makes awesome rubber guns for various movies, and so we've got several different textures of it. We've got this one, which is a soft rubber gun, so like if you ever needed to like pistol whip someone in a scene, you could do that. Or if you wanted to have like superhuman strength, you could just do that as well. And so we have a interactive where we put these behind plex and we cut it out so people can, you know, feel it. But people tend to put their fingers through it, and I feel like it's gonna get broken before I even get it on display. But it's kind of a neat. I think it's neat. I guess I said the other one wasn't interesting, but I'll get up and get it. The other one that we've got is hard rubber. So you've got, Danny, how have you? And then you got hard rubber. So this would be like a holster gun, something you put into your holster, and it's lighter, and obviously doesn't function. Don't have to worry about dropping it. Does not bounce though, so that'd be the only thing that'd be cooler. But.
All right, so that was our first ever Facebook Live Q&A session. We really appreciate the comments, guys, and the interaction. So if you enjoyed this, let us know in the comments. If you have more questions, let us know. And if it seems like people want to try this again, we'll give it another shot.
If you didn't like it,
deal with it.
Whoa. I know how to get up and turn it off.
All right, so have a great weekend, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.